my name is Janice, and in today's episode I will be showing you how I crocheted this sweater. It is for a 3-year-old. It feels cozy, it is warm, and of course it is beautiful. I used a total of 3 yarns, 2 blue yarns and 1 white yarn for the ribbing. So let's get started. I will be using this butterfly chunky 4-ply yarn, blue in color. It is 100% acrylic, soft feel, and it is non-shrink. Length of these yarns, it is 100 centimeters each. I will be using a tape measure for taking my measurements. The crochet hook that I'll be using, it will be 4.5 millimeters, and I'll also be using the stitch markers for marking my sweater, and also I'll be using the needle, the knitting needle. To get started, I'm going to start from the top, progressing downwards by increasing the stitches in the round, and I'm going to use the measurement of the head circumference, which is 50 centimeters. That will act as a guide on the total number of chains that I'm going to make. I will do my foundation chain, and I'll start by doing a slip knot so that I can start now counting my chains. The total number of chains will be determined by the head circumference measurement, which is 50 centimeters. You can use the centimeters, you can use the inches, that which you're comfortable with. So I made a total of 76 chains. That was equivalent to my 50 centimeters length. Add 1 chain that will not count as a stitch. I will now work on my first row, and I'll be doing the single crochet, so skip that one stitch and work on the second stitch. That is my first single crochet. That's the second single crochet, third single crochet, 4 single crochet, 5 single crochet. I want to make a total of 76 single crochet, so far I've done 5 single crochet. I will be doing the 6th single crochet, and then I'll find you at the end of that row where I will be making my 76 single crochet. I'm at the end of the row that I'm making my last single crochet in that last stitch there, and then chain. I'll have to, that is how it looks like. I'll have to chain 1, but that's 1 chain that I've added is not counting as a stitch. I will be connecting the 2 ends of my of that row that I've made. You should be careful not to connect the first row and this foundation chain. So I will be slip stitching in that very first stitch that I made for my first row. But you should ensure you have a total of 76 chains even after connecting the two ends. I'll now start by working on my sweater all around by doing the increases, and I will be guided by this by my guide that I've done here. I have a total of 76 chains, and I'll be having my back, the shoulders, the 2 sides, and the front. And I will be starting with the back of this sweater, and I'll be doing 23 stitches, and I will be doing double crochet for that first row, using the both loops, that is the front and the back loop. And this is how I've done my first double crochet. You should be careful not to skip any stitch. The second double crochet that I'm doing for this row, the third double crochet I will be doing in that stitch. That is my third double crochet that I've done, sorry. Excuse me. The fourth double crochet, and I will be doing my fifth double crochet, and then the sixth double crochet just inside your hook in that stitch, yarn over, pull through one, and then I pull through and then pull through the other two. Those so far I've done 7 double crochet. I'm doing the 8th double crochet, and I am going to count up to the 23, and then I'll show you how I'm going to do the corners. Now I'm doing my 23rd stitch, the double crochet in my 23rd stitch, and which is the last one before I do the corner there. And I want to do my corner, and the first corner that I'm going to make from at the back of my sweater. And in this corner, I'm going to make 3 double crochet in one stitch. So 1 double crochet in the same stitch. I'm going to do another double crochet. Again, I'm going to make another last double crochet there. Sorry, it's a little bit tight. You should ensure that your stitches are not tight. That is the last one. There's the last one that I'm making. And now I want to mark my corner. It will be the second from the last stitch that I've made. So that will mark as will be a corner that I'll be doing when I'm doing the other round. Now I start working on my shoulders. On this one shoulder, I want to do 13 double 13 double crochet, and I will be doing my corner in my 14th double crochet. So you will have to yarn over inside your hook, in that yarn over, pull through and pull through the other. Checking on that it is the way I want it to look like. I'm in my 13th stitch. I'm doing the last stitch before I make my corner, the last double crochet before I make that other corner. And I've said for the corner I'm going to do 3 double crochet in the same stitch. So this is my first one. It's a little bit tight. 2, and I'm doing the third one, the last one actually. And then to mark my corner, it will be from the last stitch that you've made, the second one. There's supposed to be 3, or rather you can just do the in between the first and the last stitch that you've made in that stitch. The first and the last, in between the first and the last double crochet that you've made, is supposed to be your corner for the next row. Now I'm working on the front of the sweater, and I'm supposed to do the 23 of them it shall be the same as the back. This shall be the same to make it uniform. I'm not changing anything. The same thing that I've been doing from the beginning. I started with the back of the sweater, coming to the shoulders, and I'm now doing the fronts. I've done 4. I'm now doing the 5th one until the 23rd one. I'll get you until I am in the 23rd one. So in the 23rd one, I'm making the last one, which is the 23rd one, before I do that other corner that is in my shoulder. I want to do the corner. I said we're supposed to do 3 double crochet. That is 1. I'm doing 2. Sorry. 2. And the last one, 3. I mark my corner using a stitch marker in between of, or you can count the last stitch that you've made, the second last one. That is it. That is my upper corner. Before I start working on now my last shoulder, it shall be actually the left shoulder. So I'll count the 13. I'm supposed to be having 13 of them. And after I'm done with now these are the shoulder, my first row I will be through with my first row, sorry. So I will be counting the remaining stitches so that I can know where I'm supposed to be having my last corner there. That should act as a corner. Remember I told you she'll not have extra, and that is why we slip stitched the corners to avoid having another stitch. I'm doing my last stitch for that shoulder, so that now I can do the 3 double crochet to make my last corner. So for this corner, I'm going to make the 3 double crochet, no different from the other corners. Sorry, it is a little bit tight. You shouldn't make your stitches to be tight. They should be loose. And I've made 2 double crochet in that one stitch there. I'm making my last double crochet to make my last corner of that row. Counting the stitches to mark your corner, it's either you can do the in between or you count from the last stitch marker, the last stitch that you've made. So the second last from the second last that you made will be your corner. Now I will be connecting the 2, and I will be slip stitching in my second and third row. I will not turn my work, so I chain 1, 2, and yarn over, and now I'm working on my second row. For my second row will be different from my first row. I will be working I'll be using the back loop. But for the stitch, I'm going to use the double crochet. That is what I will be using. The only thing that I've changed is I'll not be working on both loops, but from the second row going downwards, I will be working on the back loop only. The guide still is no, the guide will have to change. It will not be the 23, but it will be up to where you've put your stitch markers. Where you've marked using your stitch markers is the place you're going to form the other corners for the other rows. So I will find you when I'm at that corner. For the corners, we're not going to use the back loop, but we're going to use the both loops. We're going to use the 2 loops, And I'm going to do the 3 double crochet in that one stitch. That doesn't change. And then you count the in between stitch. That is where you're going to mark your stitch. That is where you're going to mark for your next row. Again, you start using the back loop for your shoulder. 13 stitches are going to change. So until where you marked the corner, that is where you're going to form your other corner for the next row. And for that corner, I repeat, you're not going to use back loop, you're going to use the 2 loops. So you're going to do 3 double crochet using the 2 loops. There is a front and the back loop together. So that is not changing for the corners. The only thing that have changed when you started doing the rows is for the first row that you did after connecting your ends. You used both loops, but now for the second one, you're using the back loop only. But when it comes to the corners, that is not changing. You're using both loops. So you're now doing the front of the sweater. And again, I repeat, we're not counting. We're only doing the double crochet using the back loop until we get to that corner there. So we are at the corner. At the corner, we're going to use the 2 loops, and you're going to do the 3 double crochet. The double crochet, a total of 3. Nothing is changing, and then you count. The in between is the one that you're marking as a corner for the next row. So that is 2, and I'm doing the third one. That is the third one. So the in between is the one that I'm going to mark for the next row, so that you can get to know where the next corner of the next row should start. So I'm doing the last shoulder, and again it's going to change. It's not going to be 13. Remember I said you're going to increase by when you're doing the rounds. So it will not be 13, it will have increased. Again, we're doing the back loops only. Starting from the second row, going downwards will be the back loops, but for the corners until a certain place that I will tell you, we'll be doing both loops for the corners. Corners are helping us to get the yoke. That's the only thing that the corners are helping us. So I'm making my last double crochet in that stitch. There's supposed to be 3 in total. The in between one should be the one that I'm marking for the next row, so that I can know the corner. I'm left with two stitches and one stitch. Actually, I'm left with 1 stitch, and the other stitch should be shared by the one that you did in the previous row. So I'm counting the 2. The second one is the one that I'm going to slip stitch. It's as easy as that. I will be working on my row 3. So chain 1, 2, and then yarn over to start working on the back loop. Still the double crochet. I'll still use the double crochet for my other rows. Having marked having marked the corners, it is easy for me to get to work with other rows. So I will be doing other rows until I get the centimeters that I want for my yoke. My yoke for My yoke in those corners that I will be using will be 16 centimeters. So I will be working on other rows, some of other rows to get to 16 centimeters. I have a total of 8 rows. I've worked a total of 8 rows. And I want to measure to see whether I have 16. It's not yet. So my yoke, I've done 12 centimeters. So I need to add 4 more centimeters. That means I will be working on more rows. So far I've worked on 8 rows. And now I've done a total of 12 rows. That is giving me 16. Actually, it's giving me 16 plus 1 centimeters, which is okay. That 1 centimeter that I've added, it's not bad. So I will finish this last row that I've added to make it 17, and then I will be showing you how I'm going to connect to my sleeves, because actually this sweater, I'm working on a one, top down from top, and then progressing downwards. My first yarn actually got finished, and I'm connecting to the next yarn. This is how I did connect my finished yarn to now the new yarn that I will be working on. When connecting the two yarns, it should be in a way that no one can say there's a connection that was done. So in short, the connection should be done at the wrong side. But anyways, it's how maybe you feel. The others that you're going to start by doing a slip knot again. Others you connect it using any other ways, but I like it this way, whereby no one will notice that there is a connection that I've made or I've done from the previous yarn and the yarn and another yarn. Now I'm finishing on this last row, the 13th row actually, because when I measured it was 17 centimeters. That was made up of the 13 rows, and the 13th row was, I had not finished my 13th row. When we started doing a sweater, we started at the back of the sweater, and that is exactly where we're going to end our sweater before we start doing the sleeves. And here we are, we're doing the last 2 stitches, the last 2 double crochet. And remember I said we're not going to change anything unless we're doing the corners and we are connecting to ends. We now slip stitch to finish on that row that we are finishing with, and so that we can start doing our sleeves. That is exactly position we started, and that is exactly position that we have finished, and that is how our sweater looks like. That line, it's because we never turned our work. We were doing the all around, we were going all around without turning the work, but don't mind about that line. It looks like a style actually. So I will start with I will do this row, moving towards the corners of the sleeves, so that I can show you how to do the sleeves. So chain 2, and then yarn over, continue using the double crochet, back loop until we get to where we're going to connect the 2 sleeves. I will meet you where that stitch marker is to show you how we're going to make to connect the two sleeves. So I will be doing a double crochet for both loops where the stitch marker was, and I'm going to connect to my other sleeve. I will remove the stitch marker, but before I remove that stitch marker, I'm going to chain one. I will chain one, then remove the stitch marker, and then pull inside my hook, then do single crochet. The single crochet that I've done is going to give me 2 stitches connecting connecting the 2 sleeves. I'll have 2 stitches, and then I'll work all through that row until I get to reach to the other sleeve, so that I can use the same method, the same stitch that I've used to connect to my other sleeve. So I will be meeting you in my other sleeve. I'm at the other sleeve, and I'm actually doing the last double crochet of that row before I remove my stitch marker, so that I can connect the sleeves, my other sleeves. Connecting, remember we're using the double the 2 loops, but not the back loop for the corners, that is. And then connecting to the other, chain one, and then remove the stitch marker so that you can connect to your other sleeve. I'm using the single crochet to make it uniform with the other sleeve, and for the single crochet is giving us 2 stitches, which is giving an allowance under the armpits. From there, I'm using the double crochet, and I'm working on the back loops only. Nothing has changed all around. I'm using the double crochet, back loop double crochet. So from here, there is no corners that I'm going to make. We're now going to do our sweater round without even turning until we reach to the ribbing, and then we can do the arms later. I'm at the corner, and I want to show you how I'm going to do the corners round without making any mistake. So I have 2 stitches here. I'm going to use the back loop of this stitch of the single crochet stitches that I made when I was connecting my 2 my 2 sleeves, and I'm done with my two stitches under the armpits that I used to connect my 2 sleeves. So I'll move round again until I reach to my other sleeve, and I'll do exactly what I've done to this other sleeve. And that is how my sweater looks like. So I will be adding more rows until I get to my desired length of the sweater, and I will be doing the double crochet using the back loop. Nothing will change, round without turning my sweater. I did this off the camera, and this is what I got. Now I will be working on the ribbing of this sweater, and for the ribbing of this sweater, I will be doing for the first row, I will be using single crochet rather instead of double crochet. All around, I'm going to do the single crochet for only this row. So when you're measuring your sweater, you should ensure at least it has an allowance of 1 or 2 centimeters, which is okay. Usually, if you don't want to make a fitting sweater, you should at least leave an allowance. Like for my sweater, I I left an allowance of 1 centimeters. If it is for the yoke, I added a centimeter. For the chest, I added 1 centimeter, and to make sure that it fits well. I am now doing my last 3 single crochet stitches before I come to the end of this row. I remember the reason as to why I did this, it's because I wanted to attach, to connect the color blue and white um, to my ribbing. And this is how it looks like. There are increases that I've done. Remember, I told you as I progress downwards, the increases that I will be doing. I will now have to chain 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I will be adding one which will not count as a stitch. I will be now doing the slip stitching down all the way, and you should ensure that by the time you're reaching by the time you're reaching down there, you shall be having 10 stitches. You shall count 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then the last one, which is the 10th one, to ensure uniformity of everything. And then you're going to slip stitch on that one stitch that is there, slip stitch, and then the second one, which now is going to act as the second row when you start your slip stitching, moving upwards. So moving upwards, actually it's not easy, so I had to do a method of like you're scooping something, because moving upwards, it's not that easy. Social count to ensure to know where you're starting if you're not sure of where you ended. To just be sure, you should just count to know where you're going to start. So I'm doing a method of like you scooping something, which actually it's easy for me. That is the thing that you're going to do all through and all around, sorry, until you finish your ribbing. I'll be doing the others off the camera, so I will meet you when I'm done with my slip stitching. Here I am. I've done my slip stitching all around, and this is how it looks like. It's so beautiful. And now I will be connecting the two. Remember, I showed you a needle. I'll not be using a needle. I'll I will be using a crochet hook, which is easier, and it makes someone's work look beautiful. So I'll be working on the wrong side to connect the two ends, to attach the ends of my ribbing, and this is how I'm going to do it. So for this, for one side you're using two loops, but for the other side you're only using the inner loop. And this is how it looks like after connecting the ends, after attaching the two ends of my ribbing. I will now start by working on my neckline. For my neckline, I'm only going to use the single crochet method, and I'll start by making a slip knot. There I am. I've made a slip knot, and then I'm going to start at my first point where I did I did when I was making the foundation chain. So I will chain one, and then start by doing the single crochet. I'll work from the inside so that it can look beautiful. I'll be doing the single crochet all around the neckline to start with, as a base of the neckline. I'm not going to add anything. I'm not going to decrease anything. I'll just do uh, the number of according to the number of foundation chain that I made. There were 77 chains. I mean 76. Sorry. So all through I'll make a total number of 76 single crochet. You should be careful, and it's better you count the number of uh, your number of stitches that you're making to ensure that you don't skip or you don't make a mistake when you're doing your crochet. I will be meeting you at the end, at that point where we started our neck. And I didn't want to cut this string, because once you cut, it's going to miss you big. So I just wanted to hide it. How? I will be hiding it this way, and no one can notice that there is a string that is maybe hidden somewhere, or it's better you find ways to hide it instead of cutting it. So after I'm done with the first row of my neckline, I will now be slip stitching so that I can continue making other rows. So I will slip stitch where I started, and then I'll be making other rows of the camera. I did several rows using the single crochet. I didn't change any, and this is one reason that makes this sweater feel warm and cozy. And actually this sweater is very comfortable because actually the neck is long. If it is coiled, you can't feel that coiled. I will be making more, but not many. I will not exaggerate though. The neck length will depend on the individual. There are those who feel they want short length, and there are those who feel they want long length. So for me, I will be adding only few rows because I don't want it to be that long, and again I didn't want it to be that short because I felt it's something that I'm making for cold season. And this is how it looks like after I added some other rows. It is not short, neither is it long. It is medium, and it feels okay with me. With that length, it is okay with me. Now I will be doing the arms, and for the arms I'm going to use the double crochet method. I'm not going to use the single crochet. For the single crochet, remember I've only used it in the neckline. To start with, I have two stitches under the armpits, the corner and the corner. You can use any, but for me I like it when I use the clockwise way. I'll start by doing the slip knot, then I will I will start by chaining one, and then to start with the first row for these arms will be the I'll use both loops. For this one I'm not going to use the back loop, but to start with first I'm going to use the both loops for the for the double crochet all round until I reach to the point where I'm starting right now. And for my arms I'm going to do some decreases in them, and I will be showing you how I'll be doing the decreases. That is my second double crochet. When I'm using both loops, I'm all using either back or front. For this one I'm using both loops. 3 double crochet, then 4 double crochet, 5 double crochet. Should be very careful. 6 double crochet. I will meet you at the end of this row. I have come to the end of this row. I'm only doing the last stitch here, and then I can slip stitch to connect the two. And to work on my decreases, there is that one stitch there that is supposed to be shared. It's not going to be shared since I want to work on the decreases. Remember when I was working on the sweater top down, I was doing the sharing of the stitches. That means I was doing increases and not decreases. So I will only slip stitch and then chain one, two, and to start doing my second row of the arm. My first row was I used what we call, I used both loops, but now when I will be working on the second row, I will be using the back loops only. I've used a stitch marker to mark where I've started my second row. I will be doing the back loop, so yarn over, and then this first stitch counts as a stitch. I will be working only on the back loops, and that is what I've been doing from the shoulders going down up to the hem, um, before I started doing the ribbing. And I said I'm using the clockwise because it makes, unless you're working on the wrong side, then you can do the anti. But when you're using the right side, I prefer you should use the clockwise direction. I will meet you where my stitch marker is. I am at the end of my row and I'm doing the last double crochet in this stitch. There's another stitch whereby I did put my stitch marker, and the reason as to I did put my stitch marker is to help me skip that one stitch there and before slip stitching. And the reason for skipping that one stitch there is because we're doing the creases. I mark and then do chain one, chain two, yarn over, and then continue making my third row. And for my third row will be the same as for my second row. We're doing the double crochet all around and using the back loop. There's no turning. Once you reach to a stitch marker, you skip that stitch whereby you've marked using your stitch marker. Then you chain two and yarn over, do the back loops using the double crochet until you get the length of your arm, which is 24.5 centimeters, and I did this off the camera until I got the desired length. And I will now be doing the ribbing, the wrists. I will be doing the wrists of this sleeve, and I'll be creating a ribbing using the white yarn, exactly what I did when I was doing my waists. I will start by doing the single crochet. The first row will be single crochet, and then from there I'll do a chain of 10 and then start doing the slip stitching, and this is how I did. I will meet you at the end of this row. I am now at the end of this row. I've done this exactly the same thing that I did when I was doing my waists, the ribbing to my waists. I did the single crochet for the first row and then did 10 chains, which is the same thing that I will be doing to my length. I mean to my arms, sorry. So I don't think there's a need of me repeating the same because the explanation is the same and the doing of the thing is the same. So you move downwards, then upwards, downwards, upwards, and the process repeats itself until you get your until you do the ribbing of your arm. And this is what I got after I did the slip stitching. You can see it is the same thing with the waists. Now I want to connect the two ribbing, the two sides of my ribbing. I will work from the wrong side. The same thing I did when I was doing the waist. One was when I was using both loops, and the other one I was using one, the same thing. After then, you cut off the yarn, and then ensure it is in position to avoid touching itself, and then turn your work. This is how it looks like, and that is why I love slip stitching. It looks so nice. My sweater has a hood, and I'll be showing you how I did the hood of my sweater in part B of it. Thank you for watching.